Be on the lookout for the verdict, by the way. But let's begin with the news that is shaping the global pulse. Well, today we begin with what is happening in the Golan Heights, Ashrea, and Israel's expansionist plans are back in the headlines. And this time, the tussle is with Syria. And the region in the middle of this tussle is the Golan Heights, which remains under Israeli control.
That's right, but the country does not want questions being raised on it. Simultaneous Israeli occupation of sovereign neighboring territories, remember, began back in 1967 when the famous Six-Day War broke out between Israel and a coalition of the Arab states led by Egypt, Jordan and Syria. The conflict ended with Israeli occupation of the West Bank, Syria's Golan Heights and Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Israeli forces withdrew from Sinai after a peace pact with Egypt in 1982.
But it continues to occupy West Bank and Golan Heights. Israeli occupation of Syrian territory has for long been a point of contention between Damascus and Tel Aviv. But the territory is back in focus after Colombia's recognition of Israeli claim over Golan Heights. Colombia's newly elected right-wing president, Abelardo, has recognized Israel's sovereignty on Golan Heights. The South American nation is only the second country after the United States to recognize Israel's claims over the illegally annexed Syrian territory. Syria called Colombia's announcement a flagrant violation of the United Nations Charter. According to the United Nations, Israeli occupation and annexation of the Golan Heights is illegal and violates the norms of international law.
During a visit to Syria last month, UN Chief Antonio Guterres called for an end to Israeli violations in Syria. He also urged international support for the country's transition.
What is happening in the region around the Golan Heights is totally unacceptable.
Several Arab countries have also denounced Colombia's move. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry says Colombia's move contributes to the destruction of the peace efforts in that region. Other countries like Oman and Kuwait also issued strong condemnations denouncing Colombia's decision. While Colombia's recognition of Israeli claims does not alter the legal status of occupied Golan Heights, experts say it might trigger a diplomatic trend.
In a post on X, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu invoked an Israeli slogan from the 1990s. He declared, and I quote, "The people are with the Golan." Then he pointed to a map and said, "The Israeli flag flies here and will continue to fly here because this is Israeli land." Remember, Israel controls the Golan Heights since the Six-Day War. Syria launched an offensive to take back Golan in 1973, but Israel thwarted that attempt. In 2024, Israeli forces pushed further into UN-designated demilitarized zone after the fall of Bashar al-Assad. Tel Aviv relies on historical and security reasons to justify its occupation of the Golan Heights. But remember, there's another reason, and that is water.
The Sea of Galilee and Upper Jordan River Basin are the main freshwater resources for Israel. Militarily, the plateau towers over northern Israel, giving IDF a massive tactical upper hand. Syria also shares land border with Israel's regional rivals Iran and Turkey. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shaara's political and para group had received tactical and intelligence support from Turkey, which helped the group to consolidate power in Syria. Turkey has also recently signed a joint defense pact with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Ankara's growing influence across the region, and especially in Syria, puts Israel in a vulnerable position. But the question now remains, is the tussle for Golan Heights going to be the beginning of another war front? Well, for a deep understanding, we are now joined by General R.G. Mohammed Abbas. He's a retired general who is a Syrian political and military analyst. Is now joining us live on the broadcast from Damascus. I'll begin with your views, General. First of all, thank you very much for making time for us. What is your view on Israel's claims that it wants to maintain control of Golan Heights to serve as a vital strategic buffer zone against regional threats?
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation. My best regard to your viewers. Actually, Israel nowadays is claiming that the Golan Heights is important or main importance for the security, or they said that it is too important to save the Israeli security or to prevent any type of Syrian attacking against Israel from this height Golan. But we should know that High Golan is not only a strategical point, but it is only, as we said, the main source of water, the high kinds of soil for irrigation. The height of Golan, especially in Harmon Mountain, could see Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria from this point. It is, you could say, it is an AWACS plane fixed on the land, a height for around 3,000 meters over the sea. It is too important to find the peace, not to look for the war. Israel is going to look for the war, and they are going to say that will not be in the way to peace. When we go to peace, there's no need, there's no requirement to find positions or armored positions, especially in the heights of Golan or in mountain of Al-Haramon.
Okay. General Abbas, help us understand this as well. You know, despite Syria wanting the return of the plateau, will the new government's shift to the phased long-term negotiations regarding the status of the plateau complicate this entire matter?
First of all, we should believe that Golan is a part of Syria, in the heart of every Syrian, first of all. Next, Mr. President Ahmed al-Shara said that we will not leave, or we will fight to return Golan. It is a piece of our land, a piece of our heart. Next, Mr. Shara, assured that we can use the legal ways, diplomatic ways. We will depend on our support, the support of the Arab brothers or other brothers, other friends to return Golan. It is not a complicated thing to call or to capture your right. You are not. There's no way to leave our rights to the others, and we are not going to complicate the negotiation by to make peace by Israel. Syrian government and Syrian people is looking forward to the peace in the whole region, not only in the by Israel and Syria. By the whole region, we are looking for the.
Okay. Yeah. You know, not just Syrians, General Abbas, the entire world hopes that the West Asian region will find peace soon. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on WION at the moment and sharing your perspective.
We are looking for the peace.
Yes.
Well, the general is insisting on peace in Syria, and quite interesting is how he calls Golan Heights.
Yes.
It's Golan Heights.
Yes.
All right, that's something that we'll keep in mind. Let's move on now. On the 7th of August 2026, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan signed the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement, declaring that an armed attack on any one of them would be regarded as an attack on all of three.
That's right. So the agreement, remember, has already faced its first practical test. 2 days after its signing, the Iran-aligned Houthi movement claimed a drone strike against Saudi Aramco's Jazan refinery.
A day after the Jazan incident, 3 Pakistanis were killed in a Houthi strike on a commercial vessel in the Red Sea. The killing in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait has put Pakistan's newly expanded defense commitments under an immediate spotlight.
The 11th August attack on the Egyptian-owned Thihama also killed an Indonesian crew member and 2 Yemeni rescuers. As per reports, the Houthis claim that the vessel was carrying Saudi military supplies. Islamabad had already drawn a line around the security of its maritime interests before this latest attack.
The Houthi attack has therefore created an immediate test for the Mecca arrangement. The issue is not simply the deaths of Pakistani nationals. It is whether the broad principle of collective defense can be translated into a clearly defined response when a partner's strategic interests, maritime routes, and nationals are caught up in an attack by a non-state armed group. For Pakistan, the challenge is particularly significant. Islamabad has publicly committed itself to protecting maritime interests and has now signed a trilateral agreement that describes an attack on one member as an attack on all.
And so Saudi officials have warned of the possibility of coordinated attacks as well by Iran-aligned Iraqi Shiite militias and the Houthis. Such a scenario would create pressure from 2 directions, Yemen to the south and Iraq to the north. Now, the most plausible interpretation is that the attacks and threats may form part of an Iranian effort to test the Mecca Pact at an early stage.
There
are more than one regional power seeking to impose its vision on the region. Iran is one of the parties, but there is also Israel on the other side. When examining this agreement and its 3 parties, it cannot be based on an ideological, sectarian, or even religious principle. No, the matter is linked to considerations of security and stability.
Remember, the Mecca agreement is already being tested under fire. However, the pact's real test will not necessarily be the next missile or drone launch. It will be whether Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan can produce a rapid, coordinated response through intelligence sharing, integrated air defense, technical assistance and a unified political message. If they can, the agreement may strengthen deterrence without requiring a wider war. If they cannot, Iran and its regional partners may conclude that the gap between the promise made in Mecca and the actual collective military capability remains substantial. All right, so of course, this is what has been, putting to test this Mecca agreement. It's been talked about a lot. It has also been called the Islamic NATO, but so far, no real concrete action that has been taken by the 3 allies as far as this latest attack is concerned. So we'll have to see how this really pans out. And with that, let's tell you what has been happening as far as the Iran war is concerned. Eric gets us more on it. Eric, over to you.
All right, Cher. When the United States president took oath in January last year, many in America and even allies across the world had hoped that Donald Trump would make good on his promises of finding what he called stupid wars and heralding a golden age for America. But in just over a year and a half of his tenure, the US president has fallen from grace and fallen short of his promises to his voters and to his allies. In more ways than one, let's take a walk down memory lane. One can say that this image is where the Donald Trump's popularity peaked. A close save in an assassination attempt during an election rally in July 2 years ago, this image, the image of Trump with a bleeding ear and fist in the air, positioned him as a defiant leader. 4 months later, in November 2024, Donald Trump swept the presidential elections and formally took oath in January last year. No sooner did he assume presidency, a wave of announcements began, and many of them had global repercussions. Within 3 months, Donald Trump officially announced tariffs on all of US trade partners. More than 180 countries and territories braced for impact in what Trump called Liberation Day for the United States. From that moment, a flurry of meetings began in the Oval Office. Leaders from world over reached the doorstep of the White House, looking for a way to reduce or eliminate the tariffs altogether. Many countries also reached out to each other in a bid to create an alternative trade partnership. But exceptions emerged, and one of them was in China. Xi Jinping went toe-to-toe with President Trump over tariffs. The matter escalated to both sides, announcing retaliatory percentages in hundreds. But ultimately, Trump backed down, struck a reconciliatory tone, and in May this year, even visited Beijing to meet China's president. But China still has control over export of critical components and dual-use technology. From one leader that Trump could not tame, we move to another important one, and that is the Russian President Vladimir Putin. On August 15th, it will mark 1 year since the Alaska summit. See that image? Where the presidents of the United States and Russia met and talked about peace conditions and demands in the ongoing Ukraine war. Big statements were made back then, but Donald Trump, as he repeated the claim of calling himself the peace president, little has changed in the last 1 year. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has spoken to Trump and the US administration several times since then. But when it comes to peace talks, there is no progress from either side, and Trump's role as a broker has been overshadowed by intensified strikes between Ukraine and Russia of late. Let's now talk about a war which Donald Trump himself began, and that is in Iran. After lashing out at previous American administrations for being involved in wars thousands of miles away, the US carried out joint strikes with Israel on Iran. Trump had stated a series of goals for this war: a non-nuclear ban, possible regime change, and several other such promises. 5 months later, Iran's Islamist rule remains intact, and talks on a new nuclear agreement appears to be fading. Just 2 days ago, we spoke of a report which mentioned that Trump may agree to a ceasefire deal without a formal nuclear agreement. The Iran war has also hurt Trump's popularity at home. In July 2024, when Trump was campaigning, 53% of Americans were confident that he is going to be a good leader, or he's going to handle the war scenarios as well. But in July 2026, that dropped to 29%. The approval rating as far as the ban or the Iran war is concerned. This was a small glimpse into a few such global diplomatic instances. The domestic scenario is a whole other story. But just as an example, let's look at how one issue has panned out from an election promise to backlash. The issue is of immigration and deportation. Trump had promised the biggest deportation in American history when he signed an executive order in January last year. But in the months after that, ICE agents have made headlines for their brutal crackdown and also shooting dead several Americans, of which 2 were citizens of the country and were merely acting as observers. The US president has defended immigration officials in their actions, and the administration has also pushed for greater funding for ICE. There are a mountain of issues that President Trump faces criticism on, but even today, the US president, in typical fashion, if extremely sure of his decisions and leadership, the latest instance of that is Trump's own statement on everyone wanting him to contest elections again. This is what he said.
Everybody asked me that question, and you know that the law is very strong on that. I'd love to run, but the law is very strong. I get asked by well, even tonight they're screaming at the event, 2028. Now, everybody wants me to do it, but the law is very strong.
Well, so that was all about Donald Trump and how the Iran war and other conflicts and statements have really, taken him down as far as his approval ratings are concerned. But let's also talk about the domestic tussle that's been going on in United States. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is facing flack from the American president for the tax that the socialist leader has implemented on second luxury homes in the city. Donald Trump wrote a long statement on social media platform Truth Social in which he said that the administration in Washington, D.C. NYC will be looking at possible legal recourse to stop the additional tax from being implemented in NYC.
In his tirade against the predatory tax, he said, and I quote, "The NYC tax is costing New York City and state a fortune, and the money eventually to be gotten is very little compared to the taxes paid by the tens of thousands of people who are fleeing the city, never to return." Trump went on to label Mamdani as a, quote, "radical left jihadist," and said, "I'm looking to see if the federal government has any legal right to avert this disaster before it is too late." The proposed tax is already facing trouble legally. On Monday this week, a judge in Staten Island's court blocked the rollout of a surcharge on homeowners that own a high-value second home in New York City.
Well, the next hearing is set for the 31st of August, but New York City administration under Zohran Mamdani has already filed a motion for permission to appeal, which will put a stay on the order in the lower courts. Mamdani said that the city administration will vigorously defend its position in court. Listen in.
We always know that with any new tax, there are more questions than there are answers, and we're looking to make sure that every New Yorker that is potentially affected, again, we're talking about 17,000 homeowners out of a city of 8.5 million, have all the information that they need, and we've extended the deadline for them to appeal to the Department of Finance to September 18th. Again, if they do not appeal by that point, they can still appeal to the Tax Commission by March of 2027.
Zohran Mamdani's mayoral campaign and subsequent victory had several pitches, but an important one was the promise to tax the rich. According to the Mamdani administration, the PID-A-Terry tax is projected to add millions into the city's coffers, which can effectively bankroll other welfare programs that the Democrat socialists had campaigned on.
All right, with that, we're slipping into a short break. We get you more news and analysis on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout. French football turns the page. Zinedine
Welcome back. You are watching Race to Power on WION The World is One. Thank you for staying with us. Time now to take a look at the other developments from across India.
Well, let's talk about the parliament. The penultimate day of the monsoon session witnessed continued showdown as the opposition upped the ante against the government over the FCRA bill and the 20th July police action on students. The motion to forward the contentious FCRA bill to a joint parliamentary committee or a JPC was passed by voice vote.
However, it was done amid sloganeering by the opposition. Minister of State for Home, Nityanand Ray, introduced the motion on behalf of the government, even as India Bloc members of parliament claimed that the bill is against minorities.
They should not only send it to the JPC, they should withdraw the bill. But at least it is better than passing the bill in the din. They have referred it to the JPC. Congress party will oppose the bill in the JPC. And eventually the bill must be dropped. This is an unnecessary bill, a mischievous bill intended to target the minorities.
Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju slammed the opposition and clarified that the bill does not harm any community.
ये तो स्वागत करने की जगह में विरोध कर रहे हैं। तो अफसोस की बात है, कोई माइनॉरिटी को टारगेट नहीं है। ये पूरा देश को सुरक्षित रखने के लिए नियम बना रहा है। किसी माइनॉरिटी, किसी कम्युनिटी को टारगेट करने का सवाल ही नहीं है।
Meanwhile, on the issue of 20 July protests, Amit Shah has written a letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, stating, and I quote, "The government is ready to discuss this issue. I request you to consult with the opposition and based on mutual agreement, allocate as much time, whether in terms of days or hours, as you deem appropriate, starting today. I intend to remain present in the House during the scheduled time and I'm prepared to answer all the questions." Early in the day, he asked the opposition members to submit a letter to the Speaker according to parliamentary rules, and he will give his response at 3 p.m. on Thursday.
विपक्ष को कहना चाहता हूं कि आप एक पत्र 2 बजे तक लिख कर दे दीजिए स्पीकर साहब को। 3 बजे से चर्चा चालू कर देंगे और कल 3 बजे मैं जवाब दे दूंगा सारी चीजों का। संसद में चर्चा करने के नियम बने हैं, तरीके बने हैं। अब मुझे कोई कहता है कि आप एक स्टेटमेंट दे दो। इतने गंभीर मसले पर इस तरह से चर्चा नहीं हो सकती है। शायद आपके पद्धति में होगा, मगर संसदीय पद्धति ये नहीं है।
But the opposition rejected Amit Shah's statement. Leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, said that he doesn't want a lecture from the Home Minister and questioned why he was absent from the Parliament for 20 straight days.
We're not interested in him giving us a lecture or a discussion. We're interested in one simple thing. And when I say we, I mean the younger generation of this country. Who shot those students? Who gave the order to shoot those students? Did Mr. Amit Shah give this order to shoot our children? Or did he not? If he did, he should resign. Amit Shah has no courage. The Home Minister of India has no courage. He cannot come to the House.
The lower house was adjourned for the day amid repeated disruptions. Rijiju said that it is frustrating for the government to push for a discussion and have the opposition run away. All eyes are now on the last day of the monsoon session and what happens tomorrow.
All right, let us welcome our guest on the show and try and understand what has been happening in the parliament. Mr. Shekhar Iyer joins us. He's a senior journalist. He's joining us live on the broadcast from New Delhi. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, good evening. Welcome to WION. Good to be talking to you after a long time. Can I start by asking you what you think of the opposition's disruptions as far as the FCRA bill is concerned? Because it's interesting. The first FCRA bill was passed in 1976 under the Indira Gandhi government. Then it was amended and passed in the Manmohan Singh government in 2010. And suddenly in 2026, it becomes anti-minorities. How does that play out?
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you very much. And thank you, Rick. Well, what has happened is just as the government has been re-strategizing both on the bill as well as on the discussion in Parliament over the incidents in Delhi, similarly on the FCRA too, the opposition, particularly the Congress, initially wanted the bill to be sent to the JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee, and kept on saying that it should not be rushed through. Now, with the new bill, there was one bill which was passed earlier. In the new bill, there are two provisions which are upsetting a number of NGOs and some religious institutions which receive funding. And those two provisions, we know one is regarding that in case of their registration being cancelled or being withheld, the government could step in and seize that property. That's one point which is agitating a lot of these organizations. Number two is a provision that says that whatever foreign funding they receive, of that, not more than 20% can be used for, or 30% can be used for or showed as administrative expenses. Rather, the entire amount, the remaining amount, that 70% or so of whatever they receive from abroad, should be spent on the stated purpose, which is whether it's charitable or educational activity or whatever. So these are two which is bothering them, because most of these organizations, they are not just minority organizations. There are other organizations. That is a point Home Minister sought to point out to even church leaders who had met him regarding this bill. He said there are only 23% of these NGOs or religious institutions which belong to the minority sections. Rest is all, other communities are there. So therefore, why should it be seen as, trying to regulate only the minority institution? Now, but what has happened is the pressure has been building, particularly on the Congress and other parties whose base is in the South. And there they have been saying, no, do not allow this bill. This has to be discussed. Now, the government too has realized, we have also seen the pressure coming from the US. We saw one US Republican congressman making a statement. US Secretary of State landed in Kolkata, went to the missions of charity. These are way of, which are seen as, pressure coming on the government to re-examine this issue. So the government finally announced that they will send it to the JPC. But by then, opposition had already...
Mr. Iyer, they've already sent the document or the bill to the JCC, but let's wait and see how that pans out. But I just want to know from you, because our time is running out, tomorrow will be a very important day for India, because it will be the last day of the monsoon sessions in Parliament, and the Home Minister, Amit Shah, is expected to be in Parliament. What do you anticipate will happen tomorrow, or what is your prediction?
One, there is a development, which is that Home Minister has written to the Lok Sabha Speaker saying there should be a discussion on this.
Yeah.
And opposition, which was insisting on a discussion all these days, is saying we are not interested in a discussion. Rahul Gandhi wants only two questions to be answered. So now both sides are trying to show that they are avoiding Parliament. So with the Speaker, with the Home Minister writing to the Lok Sabha Speaker, will Speaker allot a time for discussion on the last day? In which case, if Home Minister makes a statement as part of the beginning, start of the discussion, what will be the Congress position? Will Rahul Gandhi allow the discussion? So there is a lot of things happening, but then both sides are trying to score a point. And since the developments in Jharkhand, the eastern state of Jharkhand, particularly in the capital Ranchi, where students were again caned on the issue of irregularities and corruption in recruitment at government posts. since then, the Congress, which is part of the coalition in Jharkhand, is not very, very eager that there is a full-scale discussion. And on the government side, they are now open to a discussion because of the developments in Jharkhand. Otherwise, the discussion would have been confined only to the July 20th developments in Delhi.
Okay. Okay, so let's wait and see how tomorrow pans out. We'll leave it there. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, thank you very much for joining us on WION.
Thank you.
India's Gen Alpha has taken to the streets after taking a cue from Gen Z. The students in different parts of India are asking tough, direct questions from local administrations on the dire situation of basic infrastructure that hinders their education.
All right, moving on, Maharashtra has been intensifying its crackdown on unsafe food. The State Food and Drug Administration is conducting inspections, suspending licensing and seizing products over hygiene violations.
WION's principal correspondent Disha Yadav spoke to FDA Commissioner to understand the scale of the crackdown and how the state is strengthening its food safety system.
Then any shocking discovery that has come to light during inspections or during raids that you did not expect, but you think the consumer should know?
See, not abiding by FSI regulation is the thing, and particularly unsafe food, whether it's medicines or spurious or whatever in food sector, it's not acceptable because it is affecting not only the health of a particular individual, but it is affecting adversely the future generation of India, and that's what I'm really against. Nobody has got any right to spoil life of an individual, society, or a nation for that matter.
When you do a massive crackdown like this, it is, thought of that. Are your officers ever been given bribes maybe to soften the inspection, or maybe faced any political pressure from the higher level to, not really anything?
There is no question of any pressure because government is very clear about this, that we cannot tolerate and we will not tolerate. Our policy of zero tolerance of unsafe and substandard or adulterated food. There is no question about it. If somebody tries to give the bribe, that is a crime. Somebody who accepts is a crime. If anything of such things are there, they can approach me or they can approach Anti-Corruption Bureau. They are there. We will take stringent action against those both who are giving, because as per the Act there is amendment, and as you know,
yes,
that is in place. Both.
All right, let's shift our focus now. The race to power has just begun in India's leading group, the Tata Sons, that suffered a setback today as its chairman, Natarajan Chandrasekharan, resigned before his current term ends on the 20th of February in 2027.
He was the first non-partisan chairman of the group who was chosen by the late founder Ratan Tata himself.
Well, Chandrasekharan, or Chandra as he is popularly called, has decided not to seek another term. This, remember, comes after a 6-month deadlock over his reappointment. He's asked the Tata Sons board to begin the succession process soon, saying leadership clarity is important for employees, investors and other stakeholders. The decision follows differences between Tata Sons and Tata Trusts, which, remember, owns 66% of Tata Sons.
Tata Trust had recommended a 5-year extension for Chandra, but when the proposal came before the Tata Sons board on 24th of February this year, one vote went against Chandra and it failed to get unanimous support from the directors. Chandra chose to defer the decision and no resolution was reached over the following 6 months. The differences reportedly involved board representation, future strategy of Tata Sons, Air India's losses, and the question of whether Tata Sons should eventually be listed. So, who is Chandra? He has led Tata Sons since 2017, following a long career within the group that began in 1987 as a trainee. In fact, he took on the reins when the group faced a tumultuous period marked by trust deficit and a leadership crisis following the sudden ouster of Cyprus Mystery. Under Chandra's leadership, Tata expanded across technology, automobiles, aviation, electronics and manufacturing, with major investments in areas including semiconductors. Tata Sons is the principal holding company of the roughly $400 billion Tata Group and controls more than 30 companies including TCS, Tata Motors and Air India.
News of Chandra's decision triggered a sell-off in Tata stocks, with TCS falling over 4%. The focus now shifts to finding Chandra's successor and determining the strategic direction of the group after the end of an era. All right, with that, getting you updates from southern Indian states. A week after DMK leader Udayanidhi Stalin triggered a massive political row with a controversial remark, actor Trisha has now hit back with a cryptic social media post, widely perceived, in fact, as a response to the DMK sign's derogatory remarks against her.
The actor took to Instagram and shared a post which read, "Drama at this age is embarrassing. Go make some money and find peace." She did not name anyone, but the timing has raised eyebrows and the message is impossible to miss. The cryptic post comes days after leader of opposition in Tamil Nadu, Udayanidhi Stalin, was arrested over an obscene remark apparently aimed at Trisha. The comment was widely interpreted as derogatory, double-meaning reference to the actor. Udayanidhi was questioned for more than 10 hours before being released on the directions of the Madras High Court. But the row doesn't end here. Tamil Nadu's political battle took yet another ugly turn, and the target was once again actor Trisha.
This time, AIA-DMK leader Udaya Kumar dragged the actor into a political attack as he took a swipe at Chief Minister C. Joseph Vijay. He sarcastically asked when Trisha would be appointed the state's Deputy Chief Minister. In a video now circulating widely on social media, Udaya Kumar alleged that the TVK government is appointing people who are closely associated with Vijay, including those who worked with him in the film industry. He cited appointments including a temple trustee, Tamil Nadu government's special representative in New Delhi, the Chief Minister's personal secretary, the head of the State Film Training Institute, and government advisors. But in the process, he dragged Trisha into this political slugfest.
Tamil Nadu eagerly awaits to know when Chief Minister Vijay's beloved Madam Trisha will be appointed as Deputy Chief Minister.
As the controversy escalated, actor Trisha Krishnan's fan clubs put up posters in Madurai condemning the AIADMK leader's remarks. This comes just days after posters with the Trisha Welfare Association banner popped up across Madurai, sparking buzz over her entry into the state's politics. The episode marks yet another chapter in the ugly and unfortunate decline in the quality of political discourse in Tamil Nadu. This is no longer about BJ versus Udaynidhi or ADMK versus TVK. Political opponents can attack BJ's policies, but when a woman actor or actress routinely becomes the punchline, it reflects a systemic decay of morals, ethics, and mutual respect, ingredients key to a healthy democracy.
It also reflects on the status of women in our politics. Remember, while politicians increasingly compete for women's votes, their dignity is often the first casualty of bitter and personal political debates. The message is hard to miss. Women matter electorally. Their votes help political parties sail through electoral contests. But once across the finishing line, women are routinely subjected to innuendos, jokes, and below-the-belt commentary. For a state where women electors outnumbered men in 94% of the assembly constituencies, this clearly is a warning, and we hope political parties in Tamil Nadu are listening.
Northeast Asia is witnessing a high-stakes display of military prowess. Drills and missile tests serves both as a warning and preparation for a possible confrontation. The contest is playing out between two groups. China, North Korea, and Russia stand on one side, while Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and the United States stand on the other.
And in the latest, North Korea test-fired a second ballistic missile of the week in the Sea of Japan. Tokyo has slammed this exercise. The provocation comes just days before South Korea and the US are scheduled to begin major joint military drills from 17th of August till the 27th. A US military spokesperson said that the upcoming exercise reflects the changing nature of warfare with greater use of unmanned systems, electronic warfare, and cyber operations. The United States and about 40 other countries have warned China against unannounced ballistic missile tests. They said that such launches raise the risk of miscalculation and could threaten regional and global security. The statement comes after China test-fired a ballistic missile into the Pacific on the 6th of July this year. Chinese state media described the launch as part of a routine military training arrangement. China, meanwhile, has rejected American criticism concerning the notification of the ballistic missile launch. Beijing has accused Washington of, quote, political manipulation and double standards.
Meanwhile, Taiwan has condemned a planned China-Indonesia naval exercises in waters east of the island. The navigation exercise is scheduled for mid-August this year, as announced by China's Ministry of National Defense. An exact date within mid-August has not been publicly specified. This comes at a time when Taiwan itself is holding war drills across the country. The 10-day Han Kuang War Games are testing Taiwan's ability to respond to a possible Chinese attack and operate under wartime conditions. According to Taiwan military, the troops were trained to form a multi-layered defense if Chinese forces attempted to invade the country. Russia's Pacific Fleet is also flexing military muscle. The country's President Vladimir Putin took part in the final stage of the ongoing war games. He also said that the region is becoming increasingly prone to conflict, putting the blame on NATO. He said the alliance is infiltrating the Asia-Pacific region and plans to deploy new weapon systems which directly threaten Russia, taking aim at Tokyo's latest military white paper, which described Russia among the main threats to Japan. Putin said Russia has not threatened Japan in any way. Speaking on Kuril Island, he said Russia has no territorial claims against Japan, but it is Japan that has territorial claims against Russia.
We do not pose a threat to Japan. We have absolutely no claims against it. On the contrary, Japan has territorial claims against our country. I am referring to the issue of the Kuril Islands.
It is important to note that Japan earlier registered their protest over Russia's military drills near the contested Kuril Island, which remains under Russian control since World War II. The region is being divided into two blocks, powered by two contesting superpowers, the United States and China. The military build-up and show of military strength is so far restrained to exercises and test fires, but one misfire could open a new front in the Asia-Pacific region.
And now it's time for the verdict on Race to Power. 2,50,000 rupees is the amount of your money which is lost every minute that our parliamentarians waste in disrupting the House. And if you count the 18 days of the monsoon session so far, 10 crore 80 lakh rupees of you, the taxpayer, has been flushed down the drain. So your money, my money, essentially every citizen in this country who works hard and pays their taxes honestly is being fooled. Let me show you two images from inside and outside the Parliament. The first one is from the Parliament. No debate on FCRA, nothing on the July 20th police action, no concrete business carried out, apart from one or two bills. Because our lawmakers are too busy yelling, protesting, and they even perform street dramas inside the Parliament complex. The other picture, ladies and gentlemen, is from the wedding reception of NCP SP leader Supriya Sule's daughter. The government and the opposition hanging out, chatting and being civil with each other. If they can be dignified and friendly here, why can't they rise above their differences inside the Parliament and hold constructive debates? India's Parliament is the country's highest forum for scrutiny and accountability. Instead, the current showdown is increasingly looking like political theatre at public expense. MPs are elected to represent citizens, not turn the House into a protest venue. If the government is pushing for debate, have one. At the same time, the government has the responsibility of not passing off every serious opposition concern as a mere obstruction. So here's the verdict. When both sides choose politics over citizen welfare, the taxpayer loses faith. And if your voter loses faith in you, it's a big, loud call for introspection.
Well said, Shreya, and I hope the voters are listening, because tomorrow is going to be a big day in India because the session ends tomorrow.
That's right, and of course we will keep getting you every detail, not just from the Parliament but from across the world. It's a wrap right now on Race to Power. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
From the bustling train.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout.
Once a year, grown men in this city put on three-piece suits, or well, at least a blazer, in 40-degree heat and call it a good idea. This is the distinguished gentleman's rite. It happens on the same day in over 100 odd countries. And it started, of all